Good morning. Welcome to day 21 of the 100-day project. This is day 20. The video is up and you're welcome to go watch it. We've completed this journal and I told you yesterday that I forgot to show you the back, that I would try to remember to do it today. It's very basic, just plain, but I love the colors together. So today we have another project we're going to be doing. I've got all my stuff over here. I'm going to show you that in a second. I've got a new friend sitting on my table with me. I have a basket of them. I made a bunch of these different sizes. My mom used to keep stuff like this around her, but she would wear this on her shirt. She would put this on her shirt with a pin and go out in public. I'm not there yet. She's sitting over here just for fun. Let me show you what we're going to be working on. I have all my scraps from yesterday that we didn't use. I added a couple of scraps from the other day that I didn't use yesterday. These little painty papers. I just threw those into the mix because I might use those. And there's my little scrap box, my little tiny pieces. Then I have some paper. I have two pieces of this drawing paper. It is 11 by 14. It's 70 pounds, 300 series Strathmore drawing paper. I'm going to use this, and I've got two sheets pulled out already. Some washi tape or a thin tape that's easy to peel off. I don't know if my tape will peel off, but I don't really care because I can cut it if it doesn't peel off. So you can section off your papers, and I'll tell you how to do that in a second. Some paint. I've got a bunch of paint colors just lined up in front of me. Any kind of pencils or markers or anything you want to use, oil pastels, anything you want to use, just whatever you like. What I plan on doing is creating my little squares, and then I'm going to put them in one of these albums. I've got these 10 albums. This is a black square, this is a white square, and it's just like an accordion. Some of you might have this because this is way back from scrapbooking days, way back. I mean, this goes way back. But it's just an accordion book that fits in a 10, and I just was in the mood to work on that. If you don't have something like this, just use regular paper or just whatever you create. Use them independently in journals and things like that, or create your own little accordion book. These are already done. I'm not using them. They were just play, and I had a piece of paper in front of me, and I just did some painting and stenciling and use my leaves that I brought in from outside. These are stencils. And just wiped excess paint down and just created some little squares. And I don't know what size they are. They are approximately 4 by 4. Yeah, well, they are 4 by 4. I must have cut them pretty good. Today's are not going to be even. I don't think they're going to be 4 by 4 exactly, but they'll be close enough. But this is what we're going to be creating, something like this. And then I will be taking them and gluing them in my book. And I need 10 of them. And these are going to create 12. So that'll work just fine. Okay, so here's what I did to section off my papers. I knew about my little accordion books back there. And so I took those out just to see if these would fit. And I found a paper that was big enough to accommodate 3 across and 3 at the bottom, because evidently that's what I did before, because I have 6 here. I have a thin tape. I put my tape around the edges, then I put one in the center, leaving enough room for all these little pieces. Now this paper is bigger, so there's a section up here that's still open. I'm not gonna worry about it. So I did that with 2 pages, just using up more of my tape that I don't really love. Okay, so because this paper is very light, it's lighter than this, so I don't know what I used for this. So because of that, I'm gonna take some gesso. And this is Liquitex gesso, and I just poured it from a bottle into a container that I had. I'm gonna put gesso in my squares. It'll help sturdy the paper up a little bit. It'll give it a little tooth, a little ground to sit on, and the paint won't go through the paper as easy, and maybe it'll help the paper hold up. So that's what I'm gonna do first. And I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit and drink my coffee. See, I have my coffee here. After I get the gesso down, I'm going to use a palette knife because I don't want a thick coat. I want a really thin coat. I'll use my palette knife and I'll put a little on, and then I'll spread it with the cards I've got here. I'm getting a little color on here from my card, and that's okay too. So I'm going to do my other paper, and then when they're dry, I'll be back. What I'm going to start doing now, this is still a little wet, but that's okay. I've got a bunch of paint colors out here. I'm going to use a lot of paint colors, so I'll try to remember to say what the color is, but if I forget, just use something close. If you're following along, like if I use a greenish color, just try to get a greenish color, if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, use whatever color you like. What I want to do is just start putting paint down in the squares, and I'm going to rub it around with my card, or I'm going to use a paintbrush, or I'll use a palette knife. There's really no rhyme or reason to this at this point, because all I want to do is get color down, and they're going to be different. They're not going to be all cohesive across, so It's just going to be whatever strikes my fancy. And the colors are going to overlap, and I'm going to be okay with that. So just start playing. This is an Artist Loft, and it's a lemon yellow. And if I've got too much on my brush, I will use it on another square. Like I could just bring this down in here because I had too much on my brush. And I'm just going to enjoy the process and just have fun with it and just put down paint. And if I don't like something, I have a chance later on to come back and cover it up and make it different. I don't have to keep doing the same thing if I don't like it. Then I'm just going to scrape off my extra paint on this one here. And then I'll come back to this one and we'll keep going. This is a gray. It's actually silver, and it's an Artist Loft also. And I didn't clean my brush. I probably won't most of the time, but I will some of the time if I feel like I need to. And I'm going to start putting the gray down. And then I'll bring the gray over here and get it off my brush. And let's go into a green color. This is Folk Art Bayberry. Some of this paint is so old, it's probably older than most of y'all's kids. Actually, it's not going to come out, it's too thick. So I will bring it out with a brush here, and maybe a little water to help it along. The fun thing about this is you just don't know what you're going to get. You just don't know where you're going to wind up. It could be Funky Town, could be Do It Over Town, could be I Hate It Town. just go with me. We'll have fun along the way. Okay, this is Sea Breeze Americana. Doggy hairs. Do y'all have doggy hair in your stuff, or cat hair? I know Phoebe does. And then I put it on top of other colors and it blends in and makes another color, which I love. I love mixing gray with a lot of the blues and greens that I use. This is kind of dry, so it's going on top, so it's not blending very well, but it's pretty when it does blend. Okay, let's go into this melon. This is Americana Melon. And I do kind of want to scrub my brush off a little bit on this color. I don't want a bunch of mud. Then I'll mix a little water on my brush to get it more a watercolor look, to get the rest of the paint off. And we'll just put the rest on here. Let's move into King's Gold Apple Barrel. You can do little marks along the way if you want to into your other paint colors. I'm doing it, but it might be covered up. A lot of this might be covered up. I'm just playing right now, getting a path. And let's switch over here to this paper. Let's bring this back. I'm going to bring back my Bayberry. I'm going to bring this gray, Storm Cloud Gray, Deco Art. I have green on my brush, so I'm not going to clean it because I actually like the two blended together if it's still wet enough. You can use the end of your brush to do some designs if you want to. Bring in Americana Vivid Violet. I'm going to clean my brush off with the other paper so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to keep playing, and I'll put this in fast and I'll hold the paint bottle colors up for you. Okay, I've played with a lot of paint colors and I have a lot of mess going on here, but it was fun and it made me feel good and happy, so that was a goal accomplished right there. I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and then when I come back I'll let you know what we're going to do next. Okay, here's what I've been doing. I've been going through my scraps and I pulled out anything that I thought would be interesting on a square and I laid it on the square. And you can see loose pieces here and there. When I kept out things I thought would be useful at some point, but I'm not ready to put on, so I put those over here. And then I'm down to some papers here that I'm going to look through, and what I want to do is cut out some shapes, like this one here I think would be interesting on one of these, so I'm going to cut that out. So if you've got some painty papers that you've made, look for shapes or go draw some shapes with pencil over your paint and you might come up with something interesting and unique. So I'm gonna keep this because I think this might look good here rather than these. So that's what I'm doing. I'm pulling out all the little shapes and scraps and things, and I'll probably cut these out too, or this one out too, because I think it might look good over here. And then I will come back when I've got all my little scraps ready. Okay, here's what I have so far. I have little pieces of paper on my squares, not this one yet. I'm not quite done. They're not glued down yet, they're just sitting on top of the squares. And this way I can get an idea if I like it together. This is where we're gonna end today. Get your papers ready, get them all taped up, get your paint down, and start going through your scraps and pull out anything that you think would look good here. And if you've just got papers where you threw paint on it, go get your pens, your woody stabilos, your markers. I've got some oil paint sticks over there that I put on this paper. I just drew squares and circles, and let me show you the actual paper. And I really didn't like it this way, but as I cut these things out, I like them and I find interest in them, like these two here are from that paper. Independent from that paper, I love it. So these are cool looking just the way they are. I'm excited to get these further along, but we're gonna stop here today because if I don't, I will not get this video edited. So I'm going to pick up here tomorrow and we'll continue on and get our squares finished and probably cut out and put in our little books or accordion books. In the meantime, be making a book or finding a book or something you want to put these in, or you could just make a little mini album and put them in, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I will see you tomorrow for day 22. Have a great whatever it is. Bye. Bye-bye.